Hey friends, today we're going to be making some homemade butter and we are also going to be making some buttermilk. So I am super excited and I cannot wait to show you guys this recipe. It is so easy. This is about 1 pound of butter, which is equivalent to about 4 sticks of butter and 2 cups of buttermilk. So let's jump right into this recipe. So we'll start with our ingredients, and all you need is 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. 2 cups of heavy whipping cream is going to equal about a pound of butter, which is what you'd get in 4 sticks of butter. And in my stand mixer, I have just added the 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, and I'm going to mix it on a low and then turn it to a medium because I don't want this to slosh everywhere. But I do want to show you guys the consistency of these different stages. Now, this is about 2 to 3 minutes in, and you can see that the liquid has thickened up some, but not really enough. So the next stage is going to be a whipped cream. And when you're making whipped cream, this right here is soft peaks. If you're making whipped cream, you want stiff peaks. Now, I don't want to give a time. This has been about 5 minutes, but it's very hard to give a time because sometimes it just depends on the speed that you're mixing. It just depends on if you, especially if you're adding other liquids or something else into it, like let's say you want chocolate whipped cream. It just depends on the consistency. But what you're looking for is stiff peaks for the next stage, and that is going to be whipped cream. And this is what you're looking for. It's going to hold all together. Now, this would be your whipped cream consistency. The next stage is from whipped cream to butter, and then your byproduct will be buttermilk. Now, when you're making whipped cream, you have to be careful not to overmix it because it will turn to buttermilk. And you've seen that I had my splash guard on and I took it off because I want to show you the process of when it turns into butter. What's going to happen is there'll be buttermilk underneath it and it kind of splashes everywhere. But I want to show you exactly the moment when you start to see the buttermilk. You'll start to hear a sloshing around in your bowl. And what usually happens is all of the butter will start to collect inside my whisk, or the butter will start to clump together, depending on if you're doing this by hand or with a hand mixer, or even one of those butter churners. The butter will all start to collect together, and you'll start to see buttermilk at the bottom. Now, I like to just scrape this down, especially when it gets to this stage, to make sure that everything is whipped up. But you don't have to if you really don't want to. There's been times where I've walked away, so this is kind of no fuss and easy. But I do want to take a moment and just say, if we have not met, my name is Jennifer Scott, and on this channel, we do all things recipe, gardening, homemaking, and more. So be sure that you hit subscribe. That way you'll be notified of every time I post a video, which is usually every week. Over the past couple of weeks, I have been doing just quite a lot and I have not posted. But I will be posting some fall recipes pretty soon. So be sure you hit subscribe and also like this video. That way you can let YouTube and me know that you like this. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much. And thank you to those who support this channel. It means so much to me and I truly do appreciate it. But back to this recipe. Now, I have this mixing on a medium speed, and very, very quickly this will start solidifying and come together. What you'll see is you can see it now. It's starting to kind of break down, and what's going on is the fat is separating from the liquid and the cream, and that is what is creating butter. And I know this probably seems a little bit lengthy, but I want to really show you the exact stages of making butter because sometimes in recipes, unless it's baking, it's not an exact science. Some of these are guidelines. So when I say 5 minutes, it could be 3 minutes for you, it could be 6 minutes. My goal is to have it so that way you're right here in the kitchen with me and you can see step by step everything I do. And now this is one of the key moments that you'll look for. When you start to see like the bottom of your bowl and you start to see that the butter is starting to clump together and it looks a little wet and mushy, this is the moment that you know that you're about to have butter very, very soon, within less than a minute, probably. And I just want to slow it down so that way you can actually see how the butter is clumping together. You're just going to continue to stir and it will start to clump together. Now, I do like to, at this point, just scrape down the sides to make sure that everything just incorporates. And I'm curious to know how many people have actually made their own butter. I ask because I believe that there are so many basic skills that we no longer have because of convenience in our society. And because of that convenience, we've actually sacrificed quality. So, and if you do want that high quality, you're going to pay extremely high prices. Even comparing the cost, I live in the United States in North Carolina, and 4 sticks of butter, 16 ounces of butter is $4.50, $5 on the high end. I can purchase right now a 32 ounce of heavy whipping cream for the same price as the 4 sticks of butter, and I get 8 sticks of butter. So not only did I just double the amount of product, but I can control the quality. But I am curious to know what your thoughts are on the subject matter. I do know that some people want convenience and some people really want to be able to control and learn how to be self sufficient. So let me know what your comments are. But looking at this, the butter is now almost finished. You can start to see it starting to kind of clump together. Cottage cheese kind of look to it. It doesn't have the consistency of cottage cheese, but it definitely has the look at this stage. I'm going to place a splash guard on. If you don't have a splash guard, that is okay. I would not place a towel or anything that you can't see through over it because you definitely want to be able to see what's going on inside this bowl. And within a matter of seconds, I want to show you the exact moment where it just comes together in a big ball. At this point, I will have my hand on the speed so I can turn it to a low and then cut it off, because right now we have our butter and you can see that it's clumped together all inside the whisk. And this is exactly what you're looking for. My next step is to separate the butter and the buttermilk. And what I like to do is I take a little container and I place my butter in there, my big butter ball, and I will place that into the container. And then I take a mason jar and a strainer and I pour the buttermilk into the jar, collecting any bits of butter that just stayed inside of the bowl. Now, this renders about 2 cups of buttermilk, and I use this in making buttermilk biscuits and making buttermilk pancakes. And obviously, I don't make this every day or even every week, so this will last about 2 weeks in your refrigerator. And we'll set our buttermilk to the side, allow this to strain while we work on our butter. So, when making butter, you want to remove any excess buttermilk from the butter because it will cause your butter to become rancid and sour, and we don't want that after all this work we just put in. To separate the remaining buttermilk from the butter, I will grab the butter in a ball and squeeze. And I do this a couple of times just to get any excess buttermilk from the butter. And what I like to do with the excess buttermilk is I will strain it back into my buttermilk jar, and then I take the butter that has collected in the strainer and put it with my ball of butter. We now will rinse our butter by placing our butter into a clean, large bowl. And what I like to do is just run cold water over the butter until the water runs clear. Now, there's several ways to rinse your butter. I have seen people just take cold water and rinse it and keep manipulating over and over and over until the water runs clear. I like to place it into a bowl. This allows me to really see the water and see when it does run clear. So we're going to do this about 3 to 4 times, or at least until your water runs clear. And what I like to do is just to kind of squish it in my hands, and you can knead this if you're like have a little bit of a flat surface that you can just run the water over. But I like to just rinse it a couple of times, and then on the last time I will kind of place it into the bowl just like this and press it down and kind of get it flat just to knead it around. And from here, I am done. Next, we are just going to dry off our butter and shape it into the shape you would like by using butter paddles, or you can just use your hand and parchment paper. I just placed mine into a bowl with some parchment paper, but I have shaped it into sticks. It's just up to you. And also, we now have our 2 cups of buttermilk, and I'll be making probably some buttermilk biscuits with this. So let me know in the comments if you want to see that recipe as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I will see you in the next video. God bless.